Yeah, I mean, Brian, I walked around this morning and I found a lot of items in the produce aisle that could be subject to tariffs. So these cucumbers, for example, these are from Canada. These tomatoes, these are from Canada. I didn't stage this. They're all gathered together here. These also from Canada. As a matter of fact, this entire basket, all of it, all from Canada. And then this basket, this whole thing, if you can stay with me while I hold this up, that's all from Mexico. And Stu Leonard's here tells me there may be some items where prices are going to have to increase here if tariffs are applied to goods from Mexico and Canada. It will try to switch salmon suppliers, though, from Canada to Faroe Islands. If necessary, it can try to source some vegetables from Florida instead of Mexico. But the fact is that 51% of fresh fruit sold in the U.S. is imported from Mexico, 2% from Canada. 69% of fresh vegetables sold here are imported from Mexico, 20% from Canada. That's according to the latest data from the USDA. Now, 3/4 of U.S. beer imports also from Mexico. Modelo makes up 8% of U.S. beer sales. Bud Light, 7%. Now, the country's largest grocers are not really detailing the impact for their businesses or their consumers, at least until they know a little bit more. 17 of the 18 grocers that I reached out to either had no comment or simply referred me to the lobby groups. So here's what the Retail Industry Leaders Association Vice President for International Trade, Blake Hardin, says. Items like tomatoes, raspberries, cucumbers from Mexico, cooking oils, maple syrup from Canada, they'll be hit with hefty tariffs. President Trump promised to bring down inflation, but if these tariffs go into effect, they will raise costs for American families at the grocery checkout and when they dine out. Now, grocers typically operate on very thin margins, between 1% and 3%. So any cost increases are very often passed on to consumers. Kelly and Brian?
Well, and Courtney, I mean, this is where we've had so many headlines and yet so little actually to happen yet, right?
Yes, exactly. That is the thing. And so when we had Target CEO Brian Cornell on our air just about a month ago, a little less than a month ago, he said, look, if we get these increases, then we will likely have to increase prices. But what ends up happening, Kelly, is if you have a portfolio company, meaning a company that has lots of different items, some that are subject to tariffs and some that aren't, it may not be that easy to tell. He gave the example, or I should say Rick Gomez gave the example, a member of Target C-suite, saying if you have a Christmas ornament, we want to keep that at $3. We don't want it to be $3.60. So maybe we're going to take that 60 cents and move that price up somewhere else. So it may not be so easy for us to tell exactly where these prices are going to hit our bills.
Great point. I love Stu Leonard's. Does Stu himself have a comment on this, by the way? I think does he generally support what the president's doing?
So, you know, it is interesting. I mean, the Stu Leonard sort of company gave us a number of talking points that they're working through and said, look, they're going to do what they can to try to keep the impact low for their customers. They said only 4% of their total store sales would be subject to tariff from Mexico and Canada. China, there is some, even in the packaging per se, not overly concerned about what it would mean for its customers. So that at least is good news.
As long as they don't get rid of the dancing avocados. You know, the kids are so entertained when they go through there. It's
they're right over here. They're right over here.
The dancing avocados.
You know.
No, I don't. I know the Red Eye Grill in Manhattan has the dancing shrimp. That's like a dish.
Courtney, we got to take Brian through Stu Leonard's.
I haven't been in a while, but yeah.
There's so many buttons to push.
There really are. There really are.
And isn't that a metaphor? Courtney,
Courtney's from Dayton, Ohio originally. They just walk out in their backyard and they pick all their vegetables, and then they get in their Wright Brothers plane and they fly wherever they need to go. Go Oakwood High School.